Hello friends, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. Today I'm going to share my opinion on two fragrances from the brand of Lattafa. One of them was a recent Lattafa release and received quite a lot of hype. It's an original Lattafa creation and it's a flanker to one of their most successful fragrances that's called Assad, and the flanker itself is called Assad Zanzibar. And the other one is one of those Lattafa fragrances that seems to be flying a little bit under the radar. Not too many reviews on that one. That fragrance was suggested to me by some of my viewers and some of my subscribers. And that one is called Jasoor. And this one is actually very heavily inspired by Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Choral Fantasy. So today I'm going to share my thoughts on these two from Lattafa. I'm going to start with the Lattafa Zanzibar. The packaging looks like this. It's dark blue colored box with silver accents. It's pretty similar to the OG Assad when it comes to the packaging itself, apart from the color combination. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, Assad Zanzibar, the name of the company. There's also the bottle size here, 100 milliliters, the concentration EDP. On the top and on the back you get some additional Lattafa branding, a sticker of authenticity. On the bottom there's a production date stamped on, which reads February of 2024. And once you take out the actual bottle, this is how the bottle looks. Again, very similar to the OG Assad, as you can see, apart from the color combination. One thing though that it's interesting about the Zanzibar flanker is the fact that, I don't know if you can hear that, but there's some rattling inside, unlike the OG Assad, which because inside here you get actually, you know, a glass bottle that's put inside this plastic cover, and the fit in here with the Zanzibar flanker seems to be loose compared to the OG, and the craftsmanship and the quality seems to be a little bit lower, which is a little bit disappointing from Lattafa. The note breakdown of Lattafa Zanzibar has the following notes. The top notes are lavender and black pepper, the middle notes are coconut, water, iris and salt, and the base notes are vanilla and incense. I'll show you the sprayer in action and then I'll tell you what I pick up from Assad Zanzibar from Lattafa. The sprayer is actually pretty decent. Feels a little bit like it's pressurized. And now onto the scent of this fragrance. The opening is very sweet. It has a very heavy vanilla note in the opening of this fragrance, and also the coconut note is very strong in the opening of Assad Zanzibar. It's actually so strong and so sweet that almost becomes off-putting, at least to my nose, just overly sweet. It also has this sort of an lactonic feel to it. It's like if the coconut note that's being used in the opening of this fragrance is not coconut water, more like a coconut milk. And that combination of the coconut and the vanilla and being so strong and so sweet and so lactonic actually makes it a little bit off-putting, at least for my nose. There's a hint of spiciness in the opening of this fragrance as well, maybe a hint of that incense somewhere in the background, but again the main combination here is the vanilla and the coconut. Now the good thing is that this lactonic feel that I get out of this fragrance only lasts for about 5 minutes, and after that this actually becomes a little bit more pleasant. On the dry down, you're still keeping that pretty much the same combination of the coconut and the vanilla. You also still keep some of that incense. There's a hint of powderness on the dry down from that iris note. And also there's a bit of a salty feel out of this one. On the dry down, this becomes a lot softer. Some of that thick sweetness seems to disappear in the air, and it becomes more creamy and a lot easier to wear compared to the opening. So the dry down is actually pretty enjoyable, but my problem with this fragrance lies in the opening and that very thick lactonic sweetness that I get out of Zanzibar from Lattafa. When it comes to what this is close to or has been inspired by anything, in my opinion this is an original Lattafa creation. So it's not influenced or inspired by anything. When it comes to the performance, Assad Zanzibar is actually a very decent performing fragrance. I've been getting about 8 hours of performance out of this one, with pretty nice loud projection in the first hour and a half, even up to 2 hours. So performance wise it's pretty decent. The price of this fragrance, I paid about 30 euros to get it, which I think is a okay-ish deal. Not the best deal in the world, but still not bad either. And when it comes to versatility, this is perfectly unisex in my opinion. Definitely a fragrance that works better in warm weather, although the the amount of sweetness that this has, especially in the opening, definitely doesn't make it a freshie. That definitely doesn't make it a fragrance that I would wear in the hottest months of the year. But maybe in early summer and you know, at the end of the summer, this will be a good time to wear early fall and spring as well. So all around, it's a pretty versatile scent, but still not a freshie, definitely not a summertime fragrance, at least in my opinion. And now moving on to the second Lattafa fragrance that I'm going to feature in today's video, which is called Jasoor. The fragrance comes packaged in this black colored box with golden accents. On the front you got the name of the fragrance, the name of the company, the bottle size 100 milliliters, the concentration, EDP. On the top, on the sides you get some additional Lattafa branding, and somewhere on the bottom there's a production date. In this case it's September of 2023. In order to get to the bottle, you need to first take this first part of the box out, and then there's a secondary sort of an inside box. And then once you take out the actual bottle, this is how the bottle looks. Again, the same color combination of black and golden. It's a little bit tacky. This cap is absolutely huge, feels very plasticky, and also I'm really not a huge fan of the bottle design here. To me it looks like a lipstick, but you know, all around it's a pretty decent packaging and bottle design. The note breakdown of Jasoor from Lattafa has the following notes. The top notes are cardamom, bergamot, and apple. The middle notes are lavender, tobacco, and geranium. And the base notes are tonka bean, leather, patchouli, and vetiver. I'll show you a spray of Jasoor in action again, and I'll tell you what I pick up from this fragrance. The spray is actually pretty good. Although it doesn't have a very wide distribution, it's still, you know, a very decent sprayer. And now onto the scent of this fragrance. The opening here is very fresh, very aromatic, but at the same time quite sweet, with a bit of fruity sweetness and a hint of vanilla sweetness as well. Although it feels kind of fresh, the bergamot note is definitely a very prominent. The lavender note gives this aromatic feel to it. There's a hint of that cardamom spiciness, but again, mostly it feels mostly aromatic and fresh, sweet, and at the same time slightly spicy. There's a bit of a green feel as well in this one, especially on the dry down. That comes from the geranium, in my opinion. On the dry down, this fragrance becomes sweeter, it becomes a little bit more powdery. The tonka bean adds a bit of powderness to the scent profile. I can't say that I pick up much of the leather note or the tobacco. Maybe there's a hint of the tobacco, but I don't pick up much of the leather note. And there's definitely the vetiver is strong on the dry down in here. The vanilla sweetness is still present on the dry down, giving this a nice amount of sweetness, and also the fruity sweetness from that green apple note is there on the dry down. Oh, you know, it's a very easy to wear, very sort of a likable scent profile. But I have one big problem with this fragrance, and that's the fact that up close this smells really synthetic, especially in the opening. And to me that's down to that combination of the bergamot and the green apple notes. I don't know what kind of ingredients Lattafa have used, but up close, in the first 5, 10 to 15 minutes of the life of this fragrance, this feels really synthetic. In the air it smells nice, but up close has very synthetic vibes. When it comes to what has been the inspiration for Jasoor, as I said in the beginning of the video, this fragrance is very heavily inspired by Valentino Uomo born in Roma Coral Fantasy, to a point that in the air it smells pretty similar, almost identical, but up close is where you'll find the biggest differences, not in the scent profile itself, but the quality. The Valentino fragrance feels of a lot higher quality up close. It doesn't have that synthetic vibe that I get out of Jasoor, but in the air it actually is very similar to the original fragrance. When it comes to performance, pretty decent performer. Around about the 7-hour mark I've been getting of like a performance wise out of this one, with again pretty loud projection in the first hour and a half, around the hour and a half mark. So performance wise it's a decently performing scent. Price wise I paid about 25-26 euros, which is an okay deal. And versatility wise, this is actually a very versatile scent that can be worn pretty much all year round. And at the end, a few final words about Lattafa Zanzibar and Lattafa Jasoor. When it comes to Zanzibar, this has been a very interesting fragrance for me, where it goes into a very sort of a big transformation. The opening of this fragrance, I really can't stand it, I'll be totally honest with you. It's just too sweet, too dense, and has this very strong lactonic feel that I get out of this fragrance, and I just can't stand the first 5 to 10 minutes of the life of this fragrance. The dry down is a lot better, a lot easier to wear, and actually quite enjoyable, a lot softer, a lot creamier. The quality is good, but again, I just cannot get past that opening. So in my opinion, this does not deserve to be hyped up that much, because Lattafa have really didn't do a very good job with the opening of this fragrance. Again, the dry down is a lot more enjoyable. Other than that, it's a very versatile scent. It's almost perfectly unisex. It has very decent performance. But again, I just cannot get past that very off-putting opening of the fragrance. When it comes to Jasoor, this is a very youthful, very modern scent that has a lot of aromatic properties, has a nice amount of sweetness, all around decent performance. But again, this one has another problem on its own, and that's the fact that it feels really synthetic in the opening up close. If you don't smell it up close, in the air it actually smells very pleasant. It's very similar to Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Coral Fantasy, actually feels almost identical. It has very decent performance, low price tag. All around, it's a pretty decent deal for people who are looking for an alternative to a Coral Fantasy. And so guys, in today's video I shared with you my thoughts on two Lattafa fragrances, Lattafa Zanzibar and Jasoor. I hope that you found this video interesting or helpful. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in the next one. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.